Beneath the wide and rolling blue hills of Mbala, where the earth ran red and the sky stretched without end, lay the village of Nkwazi. It was a place where mornings began with the bleating of goats and the smell of porridge cooking over open fires, where children's laughter followed the dusty wind, and where, when the sun began to sink, the elders would gather in a circle under the big acacia tree to tell stories older than anyone could remember. Yet there was one story that every child in Nkwazi knew, the story of the ancient Baobab tree that stood on the edge of the forest. Its trunk was wider than any hut in the village, its roots like the arms of a giant sleeping under the earth. People said it was older than the hills themselves, older than the river Kafue that wound like a silver snake through the valley, and the elders would whisper, always lowering their voices when they spoke of it. Do not linger near the baobab when the clouds are heavy with rain, for when the rain falls, the spirits remember what the living forget. Children repeated the words in jest, daring each other to run past the tree after sunset, but few ever did. By day, the baobab was a thing of beauty, its thick branches spreading wide like a king's crown. But at night, it seemed to breathe, and on the first rains of the season, some swore they saw lights flicker in its hollow or heard the low murmur of voices. In this village lived a young woman named Amma. She was 25, tall and strong from years of working the cassava fields, with a quiet dignity in her walk. Amma's mother had died when she was small, and her father, Kweku, had grown weak with a sickness that had lingered for many seasons. Most days she rose before dawn, pounded maize, fetched water from the river, tended the crops, and cared for her father. She was not one for idle chatter, but when her work was done, she would sit outside her hut and watch the stars. There was something in her gaze, an old longing, though she could not have told you for what. Behind Amma's home, close enough for its shade to touch her walls in the afternoon, stood the great baobab. The villagers avoided it after dark, but Amma had no fear. In the hot months, she liked to sit beneath its branches with a book she had traded for in the market, sometimes stories, sometimes old ledgers or prayer scrolls. The breeze under the tree was always cool, even in the driest days, and there was a peace in its shade that she could not explain. One afternoon, as the dry season was ending and the air hung heavy with the promise of rain, Amma was sweeping away a thick carpet of fallen leaves from the base of the baobab. Her broom struck something hard. Curious, she knelt and pushed the leaves aside, brushing away the powdery red dust until her fingers scraped against metal. She dug deeper, her nails catching in the soil, until she uncovered a small copper chest, its surface green with age and speckled with rust. The clasp was stiff, but with a sharp knock from a stone, it opened. Inside was a folded piece of animal skin, brittle at the edges, covered in faded markings unlike any writing Amma had ever seen. That evening, the sky darkened early. The first rains came with a soft whisper that grew to a steady drumming on the thatched roofs. Amma stood by her window, breathing in the sweet scent of wet earth. She had always loved the rains, the way they turned the air cool and washed the dust from the leaves. She was counting the drops sliding down the wooden frame when a shiver ran through her. The feeling was sudden and strange, as though someone was watching her. Her eyes turned toward the baobab. There, in the shimmering curtain of rain, stood a man. He was tall, his shoulders straight, dressed in robes the deep blue of midnight, embroidered with threads that caught the light like gold. His hair was bound with a carved clasp of dark wood, and his eyes shone pale and silver like the moon breaking through clouds. Amma's breath caught. The man stood as if carved from stone, his gaze fixed on her. And then, as though the rain itself had swallowed him, he was gone. The next morning, still unsettled, Amma carried the animal skin parchment to Baba Oba, the oldest man in Nkwazi and its griot, the keeper of stories. Baba Oba's hut smelled of smoke and dried herbs. He took the parchment in his long, thin fingers, and when he unrolled it, his eyes widened. His lips moved silently, tracing the strange symbols. This, he said at last, is no ordinary writing. It is the language of the river spirits, taught only to those who guard the line between the living and the dead. He looked at her gravely. It tells of a prince buried beneath the Baobab. 100 seasons ago, he died for love. They say that when the rain falls, his spirit walks again. Amma gave a short laugh, though it did not sound convincing even to her. Another story to frighten children, Baba. But 2 nights later, the rain came again, heavy and full, rattling the shutters. Amma was tending the fire when she heard it. 3 slow knocks on her door. Knock, knock, knock. She froze, the hairs rising on her arms. When she opened the door, he was there, the man from the Baobab. "I am Prince Kato," he said, his voice deep, each word slow and deliberate. "Once I ruled these lands. I loved a woman named Zuri. The council feared her. They said she was not of noble blood. They killed her. And then they killed me. My soul was bound to the Baobab, cursed to walk only when the rains fall." He stepped closer, his silver eyes holding hers. "And you are Zuri." Amma shook her head, the world tilting beneath her. "I am no one but Amma." Kato reached for her hand. His touch was cool as river water, yet it sank into her bones, sending a shiver through her. And then, visions. A woman in a white wrapper running through tall grass. Laughter by a river's edge. A man in indigo robes placing a carved necklace around her neck. She staggered back, breathless. From that night on, sleep came rarely. Amma found herself walking to the Baobab without knowing why, tracing its bark with her fingers. She returned to Baba Oba, demanding answers. He told her of an abandoned royal burial ground deep in the forest, where the rulers of old lay in stone-marked graves. No one went there after dark, for strange lights were seen among the tombs. One night, with the moon bright above the trees, Amma wrapped herself in a kenta shawl and set out. She crossed the forest, the leaves whispering underfoot, until she reached a crumbling wall. She climbed over and stopped. There before her was a grave, unlike the others, its stone carved with care, fresh marigold flowers laid upon it. She stepped closer. The inscription read, "Prince Kato, taken by love and betrayal." A rustle sounded behind her. She turned, and Kato was there. "Tell me everything," she whispered. And so he did. Zuri was not merely a village girl. She was a princess from a far-off kingdom, lost during a war. The elders of Nkwazi had taken her in, offering shelter. But when they learned who she was, they feared she would bring foreign power into their land. They killed her in secret, and when Kato tried to protect her, they killed him too. Her royal jewels were stolen and hidden among the villagers' houses. "These jewels bind us here," Kato said. "Until they are returned to the earth beneath the Baobab, the curse will not break. Return them, and we can be free." The rains came again a few days later, drumming on the village roofs. Amma and Kato stood in the square, the villagers gathering in the downpour, eyes darting between the living woman and the spirit beside her. Baba Oba's voice rose over the storm. "People of Nkwazi," he called, "your father's fathers wronged the prince and his bride. The jewels they stole lie still in your houses. Return them, or the curse will hold us forever." For a long moment, no one moved. Then an old woman stepped forward, a gold bracelet in her trembling hands. A man followed, placing a beaded crown at Amma's feet. One by one, they came, carved ivory, strings of coral, golden anklets, until the stolen treasure lay in a heap at the roots of the Baobab. The ground shook. A golden light burst from the soil, spiraling upward through the branches. Then, in the center of the trunk, a door appeared, woven of light and mist. Kato turned to Amma. "Once we pass through, we will be free, but you may never see this world again." Amma looked at him, the rain running down her face like tears. "If love is true, it is never lost." They stepped into the light. The door closed, the Baobab standing silent once more. From that day, Nkwazi changed. The people grew kinder, sharing what they had, speaking the truth to their children. And on rainy nights, some swore they heard laughter under the Baobab. Once in a while, if the moon was full and the rain light, a few claimed to see a prince and a princess walking hand in hand, fading into the mist. The elders would only smile and say, "Rain washes the earth, but love washes the soul."